Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the National Guard products number 713. This is a saddle type threshold, and we're going to remove it from the packaging here and take a look at the cross section and what this is. The 713 is a 1/4 inch tall threshold. It's handicap compliant, but so would be a 1/2 inch version as well. That would be a saddle type. Saddle type, if you use your imagination, it kind of looks like a saddle. Okay, if you really use your imagination, I suppose. This item, it would be very appropriate for an exterior application that you wanted a low profile threshold. Maybe you've run the door a little bit longer rather than a standard 3/4 inch undercut. You were using something that might be 3/8 in that range. This would be suitable for a wider jam depth as well, being 7 inch tall. This fluted top, as you can see. And this is in the mill finish. They offer the 713 in an aluminum base in either a mill finish or a dark bronze. And we're going to look at that more closely when we get to the supporting documentation. This is 7 inch wide. And it is 1/4 inch tall. Okay, this type of profile. The 7 inch width is pretty nice because you might need to just cover 7 inch. You know, you might be covering up floor condition. Your frame isn't dictating that you use a wider threshold, but perhaps the floor is. Or you've got a typical jam depth and you're going to cope the frame around the profile, cope the threshold around the profile of the frame. Best practice on exterior doors would certainly call out your threshold actually running long to cover the face of the jamb. So when you see wider thresholds, certainly, I do start to think, okay, this may be coped around a frame. The fact that this is only 36 inch tells me the client's probably not coping it around the entire profile of the frame, but maybe just around the stop itself. That's what I'm most likely thinking in that regard. A threshold, a wide threshold like this is used in lots of different places. Not only exterior doors on the front of a gas station, but also in parking garages where they have, unusual, maybe they might have a small void in a precast to allow for some expansion. Sometimes they'll try to cover that up with a wider threshold. This is listed in the site in lots of different lengths. Everything from 2 foot to 8 foot, and possibly by the time you're seeing this video, it will certainly be longer than 8 foot as well. But you can order this in really any length that you need, up to realistically about 16.5 feet. It's sold per foot. If you have need for a custom length, by all means let us know by ordering the next longest piece or pieces, and indicate in the comment field the net length you'd like for us to cut the material back to. The reasoning is we'll not only cut the material for you, saving that effort, and while it's not difficult necessarily to cut aluminum, you may not have a miter box saw large enough to cut something that's 7 inch wide. But the other reason is we'll give you that first countersink at the proper distance from the edge. This threshold has 4 holes, and a industry rule of thumb, although it's not a cardinal rule, so to speak, a rule of thumb would be that you would have 1 additional hole given the length in feet. So if you had a 3 foot threshold, it should come with 4 holes, is how that's generally done. So if you needed a custom length, order the next longest piece or pieces and simply indicate in the comment field the net length that you'd like for us to cut it back to, and we will do so. And speaking of the holes, screws are indeed included in a complimentary finish. They appear to be like a number 10 by 1.5 inch Phillips drive flathead wood screw. Now let's switch to the screen view where we can take a look at the supporting documentation for this item. Okay, so this is the item that we're looking at in the website, this 7 inch by 1/4 inch rise threshold. Now I had said earlier about handicap compliance, and I believe very early on, it was very much understood that a 1/4 inch maximum height is what the deal was. And that's not the case. That's not the case. A half of an inch height is the maximum, but you can't have any more when you get into your quarter inch. You can't have your rise over run be more than 1 to 2 in a quarter inch. So that's why you're always going to see these thresholds that are, that are sloped, because that sort of curve to the threshold is not more than, 1 rise for every 2 in run. And when you are looking at threshold catalogs, you are very certainly going to always see where they indicate, whether or not it's handicap access rated. All these threshold manufacturers have received certification on the design that it's compliant with the ADA A117 document. And if you really wanted to do a deep dive into the usable buildings design guide, which is a federal law which was written into law in 1990, George Bush the first signed that into law, and it kind of took effect over the next couple of 3, 4, 5 years, because when it was signed into law, there was not an enforcement capability from the government. You could walk around, citing things for not being compliant, but then there was no one to enforce it, so it was phased. And by 1996, everything was very much. By 1996, it was fully integrated. So this A117.1, if you were to dig into a document like this and you were to just look for thresholds, you're going to find a ton of information about, you're going to find this is the governing document when it comes to handicap accessibility. Anyway, that is research that you can certainly do. So the supporting documents, installation instruction, this is going to be a simple document, cut to size, notch if you want, attach it, caulk it, that's door hardware installer 101 material. A couple of notes. I will reiterate that coping around the bottom of the threshold, if you are a door distributor in commercial doors and you participate in the national organization that's called DHI, the Door Hardware Institute, best practice is going to call, when you have an exterior frame, that you actually have returns on your threshold, or that it runs long. Your threshold will actually take up all of this space, not just a threshold that runs like here. Okay, so a threshold that really covers the face of the frame is what we're going to call best practice. Because what happens is, now here's your threshold. It would probably be better to just give you the flutes that you would normally see on a threshold. And what would be the reason that that's nice is you can then take your aluminum threshold and cope it around the frame, and that's going to allow you to protect that bottom of the frame. Okay, so mitered returns or a threshold cut long and coped is considered best practice. And in fact, if you are a hardware detailer, it would be considered incorrect, from what I understand, to not have exterior thresholds when the condition permits, with either mitered returns or coped. If you had a 3-foot door and a 2-inch profile hollow metal frame, that threshold should start out at 40 inch, and then you cope around it, or you have the factory cope them. These manufacturers can do that work. Product brochure is nice because it will allow you to review the sister products to this item. The 713 is down here. And what's nice about that is you can see the 4-inch version, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-inch wide version of their saddle thresholds. Half-inch tall versions as well. That's all nice. Stainless steel. Oh, no, pardon me. These are bronze. These are architectural bronze. I don't see any stainless here, but they can do stainless thresholds. I don't know if they can do one that's 1/4 inch tall. Now, the other thing to bring to your attention is on the manufacturer's, on the item that we're looking at, the manufacturer's page here, that we actually were just in front of. Let's click back to that page if we can. So when you click that link here, it's going to take you to the manufacturer's page here. That page is handy because it will allow you to review all of the National Guard products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog, or at least the one that's most current. And that's there. And that's a very handy document to review all things National Guard. Now, if you know the name National Guard at all, you will for weather stripping. Let's finish up this video on camera. Because their name is ubiquitous within the door and hardware industry for weather stripping. They do more than that, though. In addition to doing an excellent job with thresholds, perimeter gasketing, obviously door sweeps, door bottoms, they have some innovative solutions when it comes to closing down gaps in fire-rated door assemblies. They have steel vision frames that you would use in wood and metal doors. They're good quality company, good quality people. They genuinely want to do a good job, and they care about their installed client base. Any questions on the 713 aluminum threshold or any other National Guard product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.